Okay, you guys, this is a video where I'm gonna take the Mavic gimbal apart and replace the cable, the gimbal cable. Just adjust this a little bit. Okay, hopefully you can see this pretty good. I'm trying to set up the lightning as much as possible. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna start at this point. I already took the gimbal off. This is not the really hard part. So if you're going to replace the gimbal cable, then taking this out of the Mavic, taking the top out of the Mavic, and then taking the gimbal off and taking the gimbal off of this it shouldn't be the challenge. So basically this cable was connected here, the silver video cable was here, the gimbal was attached here, so now we just have to basically take the gimbal apart and take the cable out and replace it. So that's what I'm gonna do right here. This video is gonna be real time, and the reason why is A, you kind of get an idea of how long will it take you to take the whole thing apart, and B, I want to show all of the details possible in this video when taking the whole thing apart. So hopefully, I'm recording in high def. I'm gonna post it in high def, so it is the highest possible quality and details there is. So take all the covers off, the usual. If you're taking apart any kind of DJI gimbal, either from Phantom 2 Vision Plus or Phantom 3 Standard Advanced Pro, it's pretty much the same thing. With Mavic, the only difference is that it is just really small. All of the screws are tiny little screws. It's the connectors and the cable is much thinner, much small. The connectors are much smaller than they are on other DJI gimbals. So it's just basically I think it's patience. To me, when people ask me, hey, what's the difference between fixing advanced or pro gimbal or Mavic, I just tell everybody the same thing. Crayons, magic markers, they all look the same to me. So it's just about taking it apart and having the patience to put it back together. So I'm going to start in the back of the camera. So as you can see, this is the camera, this is the back of it. So this is the first connector that I'm going to take out, and this is the first connector I'm going to put back in. So just come underneath, basically kind of try to use the smallest possible flat screwdriver. So you take this guy out, comes around, and I'm gonna take now on the yaw, well actually this is not a yaw arm, so if you're looking at the camera right here, twist it, so we're looking at this casing right here now. Here's the second connector I'm gonna put in. This is the second connector I'm going to take out, and this is the second connector I'm going to put in. So we take this out. Now this guy is kind of tricky because it's kind of the whole cable is really bent, so I'm going to try to actually take it out. And when I say bent, it's kind of it's folded. The cable is actually folded a couple different ways, so I'm going to show you that here in a second. So we take this guy out, and the last one is then the one back here, and I'm just gonna pry this out. There we go. Okay, so here is the cable that was inside the gimbal. Okay, so it's actually supposed to be like this, so you kind of get an idea exactly how it looks. So this is how the cable looks when you take it out. It's, of course, it's gonna twist a little bit, and because it's been twisted, so it's like that. Here's the funny thing. When you get a new cable and I don't know where you guys are getting them. Again, I'm gonna say I'm not affiliated with the company F-Stop Labs, but that's where I get them because I've had good success with those cables. So this is how it looks like when you take it out. Okay, see if I can turn the camera even more down. Okay, like this. This is how it is when you get it brand new. So it does look a little bit different, right? So the first thing what you're going to do is, when I was telling you before about those bends and folds on the cable, like if you unfold this guy, okay, you can see that this cable is folded twice, this way and then there's another fold right here. So here we have now how it looks like right here compared to a brand new cable. So now that I unfolded it, so what you do is you take the little tiny sticker here down, and first you just fold. It usually says TP2, TP1, so TP1 and TP2 need to cover itself. Okay, so that you make this kind of like a one. You make this like a one straight line of the cable. Okay. The second time we're going to be doing any kind of folding or anything is going to be at the end, and it's going to be on this piece of the cable right here. Okay. Let me just turn the camera up a little bit so you see the whole picture. So now that we fold this portion, and I really didn't do a good job, try to put it into the, see there's a little square right there, TP1, TP2, so just try to line it with that. It just in later on in the process it's gonna help you to have it as, you know, lined up as much as possible. So let's go back then to the gimbal. So what you do is, try to put this guy back in. This cable is just flopping around all the time. It's gonna get on your nerves. So what you do is you take this piece of the cable, so at the end, which is R, and you insert it into the opening here between, okay, because that piece actually has to go back to the I twisted it wrong way, so hold on, I didn't put it in right. Yeah, I know, that's what she said. Okay, so let's try this one more time. So this piece has to go here. The R has to plug in here, which is the back of the camera. So what I'm gonna do is insert this guy. I'm doing this wrong. Okay. Okay. Alright, here we go. So you insert this guy in here, and the first thing that I'm going to do is, let's remove this guy a little bit, come underneath. I am really tired, guys. It is about 7 p.m. and I've been working since 4:40 this morning. So I'm gonna take the sticker off, peel that guy off, and try to align this guy. With the connector. Try to get it as close as possible in there. Align it. Now you're gonna notice that when you're gonna be taking the connector, the cable out around the connector, there's gonna be this black gooey kind of a matter. Try to remove as much as possible. The gimbal I'm working on is I had cable removed before and I already did that, but there's going to be on the sides, there's going to be black kind of a hot glue deal. I don't know what they put in there, but you know, DJI uses that. I mean, they're notorious for using some weird stuff. So anyway, so I just tapped that guy in, you know, just enough. What may happen is if you press too hard in here on this side of the gimbal, you're gonna see this black plastic piece. It may pop out a little bit. That has to be flush, so just make sure that that doesn't pop out. Okay, now that I have that cable plugged in, okay, that piece of a cable, I guess. So make sure that you press down here because that's where the sticky stuff is. This way, right here. Okay, better. Just press that down pretty good so it's gonna stay there. So now what you do is we're gonna go to the connector number 2. So just twist this guy around. Oh, you know what? Forgot to actually twist this guy around too, because it folds like I showed you before on the cable before. It actually folds, so you cover the TP1 and 2, but then on this side you're also going to bend it right here where it says BP1, and it's right by the line, and so you know, so the cable is looking like this. So what I have to do here is just fold this piece right here, okay, and it's, you know, that's why I removed that sticker, because I needed to get the sticky thing exposed to it, and I'm just trying to figure something out here. Hold on. Okay, so sorry about that. Actually, I'm gonna have a sip of the cold one. All right, better. So now we're gonna try and work on connector number 2, which is this guy. Try to align it as much as possible, and then I just use a hex top of the head. I use a hex to actually just tap it in. Just tap it in. Tap, tap, tap. Patience is the key here, guys. If you're not patient, this is not for you. Plain and simple. Okay, so as you can see, I have it just enough so where it stops, that's where the cable goes, and it's nice, smooth movement. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that this connector has, see, oh, you see what I did there? Kind of clicked a little bit, so I pushed that plastic on the other side a little bit out, so I can, I don't know if you're gonna see it or not, right there, flat plastic. So if that happens, just press it down, clicks right back in, you're gonna hear it. So just want to make sure that connector is seated Because that's the thing about these little connectors, you know, you're gonna be working on it forever, and then all of a sudden you're gonna find out that it's not seated all the way in. You're gonna put the whole thing together, and bam, it's not gonna work. So this looks pretty good, right? So if you compare, in case you have another gimbal and compare it, this is the original connector that it's on it, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. So at this point, you know, I feel confident about that connector, so I'm just gonna put this guy back on, just because I want as little of that silver video cable to be moving around and being on my way as possible. So I'm just gonna tie these two, and here I'm using a 000 Phillips, because I don't know if the camera is gonna focus on this, but this is the size of the screw. All of them are this size. So when you're tightening them down, you really don't want to use a lot of force. It's not gonna play well, if you will. Okay, so we are on working to get connector number 3. So let's do that. So here, as we're moving toward the number 3, you're gonna have again a little sticker that covers the adhesive. So let's just take that out. Okay, let's continue. So the third connector, so we came from the second, went around to the third. You twist the cable around, you plug the connector in, okay? You plug the connector in. Let me change the lighting a little bit, maybe this will work better. And then, as you have this cable right here, you kind of make an S bend, 1 and 2. See? So that when the gimbal is being used this way, you have kind of a nice flow here with this cable, this portion of the cable. Make sense? So you make this kind of a bend on the cable, and just, you know, press down. It's not, there's no sticky thing here or nothing, so it is just the way it is, okay? So let's go and close this up. So what I'm going to do next here, I'm going to close this piece right here, and that's the one that has the little extension of the plastic right there with a little hook. So just make sure that this is all tucked in nice, because now we're just going to put this plastic piece over. Right there. Make sure nothing is kinked or whatever. So just press it firm enough here so you can actually hook this back in, and you're going to kind of hear a click when you do that. So it's nice and flush with it. Okay. There we go. So then just use the screws to, I start with this one. Go to the next one. Big screws, huh? Yeah. Make sure they're using 000 Phillips, okay? Don't tighten too hard, no need. So now we have everything connected just like we want, okay? If you're comparing to the original or just another gimbal that has everything still original on it, it looks exactly like that. So now the last thing that we're gonna close down on is this guy, okay? Just be careful, the cable, the video cable, that silver cable that has so many wires in there is right there in between the two screw openings. Oops, plastic piece. So just try to align it and just be swift with it. At the same time, don't press too hard. Make sure that it's coming out here, not kinked anywhere or pressed down or anything like that. The last thing you need or want is that you've just done all that and then you put the case on or that plastic piece on and you just nicked one of them wires. I don't know why is there so many wires. I mean, the cable is used for video, so I'm really not sure what it is that has so many wires attached to it. You would think a video cable, even if it was, I don't know, back in the days it was composite, was just a RCA connector. You just had a signal and a ground. Then RGB came and had 3 RCAs, and then I don't know, VGA has an RGB plus V-Sync and whatever not. Anyways, I just don't understand why so many wires. So we're at the point where we are going to mount the gimbal that is now all assembled. Okay, pretty happy with how it moves. All the movements are pretty smooth. Okay, so in the previous video I showed you how to put the plate on, the new anti-vibration plate on the 4 rubber things. So oh my gosh, I say so a lot, don't I? Anyhow, feed the connector through the opening of the anti-vibration plate. Just be careful, that cable is really fragile, and make sure that when you are installing this portion of it that you don't screw in through the cable. That would just suck. So, and again, so I know, you know what, okay, let's continue. So the third connector, so we came from the second, went around to the third. You twist the cable around, you plug the connector in, okay? You plug the connector in. Let me change the lighting a little bit, maybe this will work better. And then, as you have this cable right here, you kind of make an S bend, 1 and 2. See? So that when the gimbal is being used this way, you have kind of a nice flow here with this cable, this portion of the cable. Make sense? So you make this kind of a bend on the cable and just, you know, press down. It's not, there's no sticky thing here or nothing, so it is just the way it is, okay? So let's go and close this up. So what I'm going to do next here, I'm going to close this piece right here, and that's the one that has the little extension of the plastic right there with a little hook. So just make sure that this is all tucked in nice, because now we're just gonna put this plastic piece over. Right there. Make sure nothing is kinked or whatever. So just press it firm enough here so you can actually hook this back in, and you're gonna kind of hear a click when you do. Okay, and just to follow up, that same gimbal that I just worked on, that's the guy. I just put it on one of the Mavics right here, and as you can see, I have still everything apart. These are the 4 connectors that need to be connected to the gimbal, top of the gimbal, and the connector right here. These 2 are sensor for the avoidance right here. These 2 guys. Let's see, my Osmo is too slow. Okay, so let's see, the moment of truth. I'm gonna fire this guy up. Okay, I got the remote here. I'm gonna turn the dial. Alright, that's a good sign. And let's see. Gimbal is working. I'm just going to connect real quick here. I'm using the same phone that I'm using on my Osmo. I have an Osmo Mobile I'm using for all of these recordings, and I use the same phone to connect to the controller. So I'm just gonna stop the recording here, take a snapshot, and see if we got a picture.